The following segments are pre-recorded and sponsored by Longworth Productions.
Fly from PTI on Triad Today. Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to another edition of Triad Today, coming to you once again from the beautiful Senior Botanical Garden in Kernersville. We'll tell you more about them later on, and later on is when the roundtable shows up. We'll get into all sorts of controversial topics, but I hope you'll stay with us throughout the entire half hour. We have lots of great information for you and some super guests. Where we want to start, though, is talking about flying, and it's exciting with this return guest. Good friend of ours, Kevin Baker, is Executive Director of Piedmont Triad International Airport. We call it affectionately PTI. Good to see you again, sir.
You too, Jim. Thanks for having me.
There was a newspaper article not too long ago, and I want to make sure I'm going to read my notes because I want to get the title of this article. PTI recovery from pandemic almost complete. What does that mean?
Well, airports across the country were hit by the pandemic, obviously, and we pretty much went to zero in terms of flying. And it's been a slower return for some airports, including ours, coming back. But our passenger loads right now are probably about 80 or 85% of where they were in 2019, and our revenues are coming back to almost 100%. So things are getting close to being back to normal. But it's the pilot shortage that followed the pandemic really has hurt markets like ours because that trickles down, and it trickles down to the regional carriers that are the main carriers providing service at our airports.
What are they doing? Just a lot of pilots retiring?
Yeah, what happened was during the pandemic, a lot of the airlines had early retirement offerings for their more senior captains.
That's
and
right.
Then the pilots who were in the regional jets would move up to the more senior captain positions, and that left the regional flying companies with less pilots.
Right.
It's hard to become a pilot. It takes a long time, and to get that pipeline filled back up is going to take some time.
Speaking of PTI, in the media reports, there was also some reports about everybody congratulating you guys for having such an impact on the percentage of GDP, your impact of GDP for the region. And tell me about that.
Well, our airport's unique. There's no question that it's unique, really, in the whole country, in my opinion, in that we have a mission that's twofold. One is to be the best possible passenger experience that we can have, the traditional place of transportation, if you will. But then there's also the second half of our mission, which is to be a place of aerospace employment. And $1 out of every 10 that's generated by businesses in the Triad comes from the airport. I mean, that's a huge center of employment and a center of commerce.
That's amazing, because you've got everybody from the FedEx is on the campus, so I call it a campus, but the PTI complex. You've got all sorts of folks that do mechanics and everything else.
Yeah, it is a campus. We refer to it as the same. And years and years ago, and really decades ago, I like to say all the time that we're standing on the shoulders of giants because of decisions that were made, in the 70s, 80s, even the 50s and 60s.
Right.
But about 10 years ago, we put together a pretty focused a focused mission and a focused strategy to grow and have land available for companies like all of those that you were mentioning.
Right.
Honda, Boom, et cetera, and to continue to be even bigger employer in the area.
Yeah, Boom Supersonic, by the way, the big groundbreaking happened not too long ago. What is that going to mean for PTI and the region?
Well, it's just huge. I mean, this is the next, it's a return to supersonic flying for the commercial world. It puts a lens that's even bigger than we've had for the last 10 years on the airport. The whole world is focused in on looking at this airport and sees that it is a center of aerospace on the East Coast of the United States.
What's frustrating for me sitting here with you, and I've known each other for a long time, there are things that you can't tell me, things that you're working on, prospects that are coming, and I know they're circling around in your brain, but things are looking up, right? I mean, more companies are about to come, right?
I've never seen activity like we're seeing right now. I rushed in here, as you know, with 2 minutes to go before I was supposed to be here because I was meeting with a company that I think is going to choose us. And there are more in line in the pipeline right now than I've ever seen, and it's just really exciting.
That's just super. Kevin, I appreciate it. Up on the screen, flyfrompti.com, lots of good information about everything from flights to services out there to how to volunteer as an ambassador for the airport. It's all up there. Please check it out. Kevin, hope you'll come back soon.
Thank you, Jim.
All right. We'll be right back after this.
Baby, watch me fly. Baby, watch me soar. Baby, watch me fly. I will open up the sky.
Fly local, fly easy, fly PTI.
Need help buying food? Everyone needs help sometimes. Food Nutrition Services may be able to help you buy food and free up your money for other expenses, such as utilities and medicine. To receive F&S assistance, households must meet income limits. You may be able to get assistance even if you own a home, car, land, property, or have a retirement plan or money in the bank. Second Harvest Food Bank of Northwest North Carolina team members can help you with the application process over the phone. To receive help or if you have any questions, call 336-422-7758.
Back now on Triad Today, and in keeping with February's Heart Month, let's continue with that theme and talk about having a healthy heart with an expert in the field. Next to me is a first-time visitor to the show, Dr. Madan Badal. He's a cardiologist with Novant Health Cardiology in Greensboro. Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me, Jim.
Before we get into some specifics, just give us an overall view of what heart disease is and how common it is.
Well, to understand heart disease, let's try to understand a little bit more about what heart is and what its function is. So it's a very specialized muscular pump that has 4 rooms in it. And the pump is active because it gets blood supply through the vessels called coronary vessels, coronary artery.
Right.
And it also has intrinsic electrical system. So the problem with the heart could be problem with the intrinsic electric system. It could be problem with the plumbing. It could be the problem with the muscles itself or problem in the valves. To talk more, I think we should more focus on coronary artery disease because that comprises almost 2/3 of all the heart disease.
Now, what are some early warning signs that I might have a problem?
Well, usually like most of the patients present with chest pain or discomfort or tightness, they might be having shortness of breath or early fatigue with minimal activities. Some people present with palpitation, like feeling of fluttery sensation in their heart, or some people present with lightheadedness or dizziness.
Yeah.
So not all people come with all symptoms, so we need to just go one by one and figure out if that's related to heart disease.
Right. Doc, is there a certain age that I get to or someone gets to where they should worry about heart disease and be thinking about it more, or is it any age?
Well, traditionally, we used to think that heart disease is more common in like older population, but now the dynamics is changing because we have more risk factor at early ages. As a matter of fact, we all now know that the plaques that blocks the arteries, those
Right.
fat like deposits in the arteries, they start developing from teenage years. So people who smoke, who have diabetes, who have uncontrolled blood pressure.
So even a teenager who's smoking heavily
Yes.
is going to start developing the plaque.
Absolutely.
I got you. Now, is heart disease in general, and we have to spend a lot of time on this, but in general, is it preventable or reversible?
It's both preventable and reversible. That's very important questions. You know, the thing that you can do to prevent is, I think, the thing that can be done at home versus in the office. In home, you just try to exercise routinely, like eat healthy, like, you know, you quit smoking. So just change your lifestyle. And the one that you need help with is controlling your blood pressure, controlling diabetes, controlling cholesterol level. So with those lifestyle modification and some help from medicines, you will completely prevent 2/3 of the disease and also reverse the plaque that's already there.
Oh, absolutely. Now, is it easy to be treated for some of these things if you know what the signs are? You've been to the cardiologist. I mean, you can give me medicines. You can do procedures. Are the treatment options pretty good?
Oh yeah, we do have lots of treatment, but I will try to focus more on lifestyle because you are what you do at the end of the day. But the doctors are there to assist you, and as a preventive cardiologist, I try to prevent you from having heart disease. That's our role, but we do have lots of treatment options for people who already have disease.
Right. I guess the final question is, do I need a referral to come see you or to come see a cardiologist?
Well, I think it depends on your insurance, but if you are having active symptoms, you can just call our number and you can come directly, or most of the time our patient, they go to primary care doctor and they get a referral from them once they prioritize, and once they screen you, then they will refer it back to us.
That's good information. Up on screen, I want to give this website, novonthealth.org/cardiology Greensboro. is the website to get to more information about what Dr. Badal was talking about. I really appreciate this, and I hope you'll come back sometime, even if it's not Heart Month. Will you do
sure,
that?
sure,
Okay.
sure. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks,
you.
Doc. We'll be right back after this.
Are you looking to jumpstart your future in the fast-paced, rapidly growing food industry? In Second Harvest Food Bank's Providence Culinary Training Program, you'll learn the craft and art of cooking, plus business and management skills, science and nutrition, and essential life skills. Providence Culinary Training has helped hundreds of individuals just like you launch successful culinary careers. There's no reason to wait to turn your passion for food into an exciting career. Check out the upcoming class schedule on our website at providencews.org.
Back on Triad Today. I've been trying to get this guest here for it seems like a millennium. I think that's 1,000 years. That's not true. Anyway, I've been trying to get him here for a long time, and he's finally here, and we're so glad. Spencer Baird is CEO of Inmar Intelligence. He's been around in the area for a while, but now newly becomes the CEO. Back, I guess, November?
That's right.
Yeah, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Now, remind everyone, I got some specific things I want to go over with you. Before we do that, just remind everyone quickly what Inmar Intelligence does, and really how does that impact our daily lives?
Yeah, so Inmar Intelligence, and our why as we describe it, is in the business of making other businesses smarter so that they can in turn change people's lives. So it's a cool why. We do that through a combination of our curiosity, data, and technology all applied to reach specific outcomes to make businesses more important to more people.
I guess that can have everything to do with, of course, I'm not very tech-oriented, as you know, but I mean, if I'm going in to get a prescription fill or go to the grocery store, I mean, you guys are showing up somewhere in the background everywhere, aren't you?
We are 109 million households. We either serve incentives to, so we help save them money. We're helping them with prescriptions and fulfilling those things, and we're even taking millions of pounds of waste out of the United States a year.
That's great. All right, let me get to something specific, because I alluded to the fact that you've been around for a while. You're not a new guy to the area, but you ascend to the post of CEO in November. Now, it's a new perspective. So from that new perspective, what are you learning, and what is your perspective on the company now that you're in that new post?
Yeah, so I had the luxury of this interim period, which some would say was not such a luxury. I actually said it was. It gave me a chance to use these more than this. And what I was listening for ultimately were the core strengths of the business that we can capitalize on and help us get really clear on a future state that's very different than most that we compete with.
You like to use a term, and I think you used it with me one time before, about a new journey that's going on. And you also like to look ahead and plan ahead for what you refer to as the next chapter. Talk about those two things together. What's the new journey? What's the next chapter?
Yeah, so the journey is the connection between where we are today and where we want to be ultimately. We got really clear as a leadership team over the last year on what that looks like when successful. Most importantly though, Jim, what is keeping us from that today, and therefore that sets the stage for where we're going to be investing on a massive level. So that journey is ultimately that path in between today and future.
Well, we've had a lot of great leaders on this very show today. And so that reminds me of the fact that you're big on sort of analyzing what leadership style should be and how you motivate and how you lead. How would you sort of describe what you're doing?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, my leadership style specifically is high challenge and high support. I have very, very high standards. But every leader that works for me, I want them to say, I've never been supported like I have been with him in place. And I expect the same thing downstream from my leaders with their associates. It's my belief that that highly correlates with a very successful outcome and leads to the level of resilience that we need as a business to continue to improve in the face of change.
That's great. Before time gets away from us, I know that you're a global company and doing all these great things. But you haven't lost sight of the fact that Inmar Intelligence is right here in the Triad, in the city, and you love to do things for the community. And what? Give me an example.
So our commitment to the United Way is one, and I'll tell you that's just table stakes for us. We're very proud of that commitment and what we've done over the last couple of years. I'll just tell you that we're going to double down on Winston and the Triad in general, and continue to make this our home. We're very excited about that.
I think that's great. I'm glad you finally got here. That's and don't be a stranger.
Thank you for having me.
Up on screen, inmar.com is a general website you can look at for more information. Spencer Baird, great leader for the area, great community servant. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this. Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you to catch my column Longworth at Large and Yes Weekly every week. It's available throughout the Triad, or you can go online, yesweekly.com.
You know, it's hard to believe the Safe Sober program has been going strong for over 30 years.
And over 600,000 students have made the pledge to stay safe and sober on prom night. You know, Griff, it's had a huge impact on our community.
Yeah, you're right, David. And now we're making sure the message continues year-round.
So everyone can join us in supporting our students.
Learn more and take the pledge at safesober.com, sponsored by Daggett Schuler.
Back now on Triad Today, time to talk about a big event coming up to benefit Down Syndrome Association of Greater Winston-Salem. And to do that, two friends of ours who you see all the time on the show and everywhere around. They're great community servants, my good buddies, David Daggett, Griff Schuler from Daggett Schuler Attorneys at Law. Good to see you, gentlemen.
Hey, Jim. Good to be with you.
I know both of you are involved in this, David especially. And so before we get to the event, just sort of remind everybody what the Down Syndrome Association is all about and who they help and that kind of thing.
Sure. The Down Syndrome Association of Greater Winston-Salem, they do a terrific job. They provide information, resources, support, assistance to families, parents, and persons with Down syndrome in their family.
Right, good support system.
It's a support system, and it's a terrific system. You know, lots of parents to be find out that their child may have Down syndrome pre-birth.
Right.
And they can actually get involved with support and things to let people know that this could actually be the greatest blessing you've ever had in your family.
Absolutely.
You make me cry because, you know, I've been around so many of the people with Down syndrome and see the joy that they bring to the families. And that's one reason we like being involved in supporting this organization.
Yeah, I know. You're a big proponent of that. Now Griff, as somebody who is a deacon at heart from Wake Forest, there's something coming up on March 11th.
Yes, absolutely. The seventh annual 321 Deacon Dash. It's a great event, great morning. Starts out with a fun run and then a 5K, and it's a special 5K because it's an extra .11.
Oh yeah,
onto the 5K, and so it's a great event. And everybody is encouraged to come out and be involved with it.
So the 321 is Down syndrome is 3 pairs of the 21 chromosome. That's how you have it.
Okay.
So a 5K is typically 3.1 miles. So the finish line is at one spot. Then you have a celebratory extra .11. So you've run 3.21.
It's good symbolism on there.
And in that final finish shoot, it's a real celebration. Now, you can't advertise these things in advance because of NCAA rules.
Right.
But in the past, in that .11, we've had Wake Forest athletes, we've had the deacon, we have people from the community.
You never know who's going to show up.
It is the coolest thing.
And don't you do some emceeing or calling of things?
I've been fortunate enough for a number of years I've emceed more than 250 running events in the Triad over the past number of years.
Right.
And I've done the Down syndrome events for the last number of years.
Right.
And I mean, my heart beats so big and I get so excited.
I've been with David for the Deacon Dash at the finish line before, and the joy that you see at that event is amazing. The joy from the participants, everybody that's there, it's really a wonderful event.
Now, Griff, you mentioned there's a fun run, and then we talk about the 5K. But I have to ask this, you and I've talked about this kind of stuff before, Griff, and you're an athlete. Do you have to be an athlete to do these things?
Absolutely not. Of course, the fun run is just a fun opportunity, non-competitive. On the 5K, there's obviously going to be some athletes that are a little bit more competitive, but a lot of people just walk it. So everybody's encouraged to come out.
David, speaking of everybody, why should everybody support this? Even, maybe, they can't get there.
The reason is the message of acceptance and inclusion, which is very, very important for those with challenges in our community.
Right.
It's also important to us because the individuals with Down syndrome, they accept and include us just very openly. What a beautiful message for society during these crazy times.
It really is. Up on screen, Deacon Dash, Saturday, March 11th, at the fairgrounds, 9 a.m. fun run, as Griff said, 9:35K. That's DSAGWS.org/Deacon Dash. Also, go to DaggettSchulerLaw.com, or you can call 724-1234 if you ever need the help of these two gentlemen. And speaking of help, that's what they do for the community every single day. Guys, I appreciate it. And are you going to hang around for the roundtable?
I will. It's a great organization. Please join us.
Absolutely. We'll be right back after this. Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you that Triad Today is now streaming on WFMY Plus, available free on Roku and Amazon Fire TV.
Every cookie sold in the Girl Scout Cookie Program helps girls learn lifelong lessons in people skills, decision making, money management, goal setting, and business ethics. It's amazing how much you can learn from a cookie. The Girl Scout Cookie Program. Think outside the box.
Back now on Triad Today, just about time for the roundtable, but a quick shout out to our good friends here at Senior Botanical Garden. Come on out to the garden. They do everything here. They have the gift shop. You can rent the facilities, have weddings here. If the four of us got married again, we'd get married here, wouldn't we, guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd conduct a service
on
here.
my right, yeah, that's right. On my right, but always political left, Okie Overman, the great broadcast journalist. We've held over David Daggett from the segment on Down Syndrome Association, and we're glad that he stayed around, and Keith Granberry, founder of Helping Hands Consultants. Okay, guys, the city of Baltimore is suing R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company and other tobacco companies in hopes of being reimbursed for the cost of cleaning up cigarette butts on the streets. This is a real story. Baltimore officials say they spend over $5 million a year cleaning up the debris from the cigarettes. Is Reynolds responsible for butt debris, and who will win this case?
I don't see that going anywhere. I mean, I'll never say anything good about cigarettes as a lung cancer survivor, but that's ridiculous.
David?
Yeah, I don't think so either. I do think it speaks to a bigger problem is society has started littering more. And, what does that mean and what does that show? That's what we need to address.
Keith, what do you think?
Don't cigarette companies already put a certain amount of money into community service? I mean, they could use that to get some folks
to clean up.
The cleanup.
Do the cleanup?
Yeah.
All right. The Texas legislature is considering a bill that would prohibit anyone from purchasing land if they are citizens of a country that's hostile to the United States. So at least it's going to affect China, North Korea, Russia. Are you guys okay with this legislation, and would you like to see it adopted for North Carolina? Ogie?
No, not at all. That's ridiculous. I mean, England, France, Italy, they can't buy land?
Well, it says hostile. If they're hostile to the United States.
Hostile can go a lot of ways.
So it's too subjective.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very, very hard to arbitrate that. Now, North Korea can't buy property here right now anyway.
Right.
So some of that is a little bit of a red herring question.
Yeah.
But it's going to be tough to arbitrate in the long run.
Keith, what do you think?
I think that it has merit. I mean, China coming in here and buying a lot of land. You don't know if it's government owned or not, like they do in Africa. So it has a lot of merit, but I think you have to dig deeper into what hostile means and really vet the countries first.
All right, good point. Under current state law, a felon cannot vote while in prison. Felons just can't vote when they're locked up. Or they also can't vote while they're on probation after release. Now, some state legislators want to change that law so that they can vote while they're on probation release. Are you okay with that, Ogie?
Yeah, I am. I mean, the goal is to hold down recidivism, to keep them back from going back to jail. So the way to do that is to make them feel like citizens and productive people, and let them vote.
What we're trying to do is create productive people, and there has to be a line. Right where that line is, I'm not sure. During probation, if you've earned the credits and the merits, that might be the good spot.
Keith, what do you think?
I think we all know what that is. I mean, a lot of times, many of these states are keeping people out because they feel like they're Democrats.
Yeah.
let's call it what it is. I think if you're on probation, you should be able to vote.
All right. A growing number of churches around the country, not around here locally, are administering psychedelic tea during services in order to help parishioners cope with everything from depression to eating disorders. The drug used in this tea is illegal, but the courts are letting those churches use it because it's quote-unquote served as a sacrament. Should churches be protected when administering an illegal drug, Ogie?
What churches were those?
What churches are those?
No, you can't. Yes.
Well, I mean, seriously, no. I mean, churches get away with everything anyway. If they're going to do it, be like the Rastafarians and let them smoke weed. You know, don't be illegal drugs.
What do you think?
Yeah, there is some legal precedent, particularly with use of peyote and Native Americans.
Right.
But that is a long-standing tradition and a long-standing history. Not today we want to do something illegal. I think it has to be analyzed. Is this a long-standing tradition that is part of that religious experience?
Yeah, I think it's just a new thing.
Or is this something new to do illegal?
Gee, what do you
that
think?
should be no.
I think those ministers should be fired. They're giving people drugs so they can take their money. Next thing you wake up the next day, you're like, what happened? Where's my cash? They went through like 10 collection plates. That's just wrong.
Ogie'd go in there for that psychedelic tea, and Ogie'd lose all his money,
That's
wouldn't
some
he,
of the
Keith?
mega pastors
All
did
right.
that stuff.
Beginning next year, Guilford County Schools will start early on August 28th and end late on June 7th, adding 7 days to the schedule. Very quickly, who does this hurt? Who does it help? And are you okay with it, Ogie?
I have no rationale for this answer, but I think kids ought to get 3 months off and, get out in the end of May, go back to 1st of September.
Instead of adding 7 days. David?
I think it needs to be incorporated with traditional parents' work schedules because that's where the struggle and the conflict is. If that extra 7 days gives more flexibility to do that, I'm all in favor of it.
Keith?
I don't think 7 days is going to make a difference to kids learning. Let's teach them while they're in school. 7 days is not going to help them learn more.
All right, guys, and finally, the Home Depot dating platform, this is a real thing, is all the rage with women who want to meet men. They now have over 3 billion views on TikTok. Guys, have you ever met a woman at Home Depot, Ogie?
I don't shop at Home Depot for number one, and no,
Or
I
for
haven't.
women?
No.
David, have you ever met a woman at Home Depot?
Well, I'm gonna dodge that. I'm gonna dodge that question. But if I was wearing a jacket like Ogie with a feather in my hat at Home Depot, I mean, I'd do pretty good.
You're saying that Ogie would be a hot item.
He would be a hot item.
Keith, have you ever met a woman at Home Depot?
But every time I go there, they want to talk to me. They say, I look like a handyman. I don't go to Home Depot no more. I really don't. I shop at Lowe's right now.
Oh, man. Okay. There you go. There's the handyman. Keith the handyman.
That's
It's
right,
a whole new
handyman.
series.
Exactly.
All right, that's all the time we have. Oh, except for this. Authorities in California have just discovered that a woodpecker has stored 700 pounds of acorns inside the walls of a Los Angeles home, proving what we've known forever. There are a lot of nuts in California. You knew that, didn't you, Ogie?
I did.
All right. Ogie's going to get some psychedelic tea, and we're going to go to Home Depot so
Lowe's.
Keith can help. Is it Lowe's? Keith, stay tuned, because on this channel there's a new series called Keith the Handyman. I hope you'll stay tuned. We'll see you next week.